collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Barricade from the Transformers Studio series from Hasbro. This is based on his brief appearance in Transformers The Last Night. We have some nice artwork here of the robot mode and the vehicle mode, kind of wrapping around to the side. Over here we have some real close-up artwork in the robot mode. And then over here on the back, we have some product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. And apparently this is an officially licensed Ford product, so it's got that cool little hologram there. Not too much going on the top, just says Transformers Last Night and Barricade. Nothing really going on the bottom, so pretty standard packaging here for the Studio Series at this point. The plastic window is back. Let's go ahead, get him out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Barricade out of the packaging, and he looks pretty good. Not really too much kibble going on. You have this little backpack here, but I feel like it compresses up pretty well. Doesn't really get in the way of most of the articulation. He does kind of look a little like stumpy, a little tiny, but I do promise he is your standard deluxe size. You can see here Sideswipe next to him. They're about the same size. So he might look a little small, but he's definitely normal size. Head sculpt I think is pretty cool. The glowing red eyes there really pop. Nice silver for the face. You got the Decepticon symbol here on the chest. A little bit of silver paint here on the thighs. Otherwise, it's mostly just different colored plastic. On the back here, you have the number for his police car. Now, if you want, you can pop these. I think they pop up. Yeah. The directions so you can pop them up like this. I don't really know what purpose that serves, but if you like them better like that in the robot mode, go for it. You can obviously pop them back down for the vehicle mode, or you can just leave them like this all the time. It's up to you. I don't really think it makes much of a difference, but if you like the look of that, you can absolutely do that. I think you can also just completely remove them if you like. Yeah, they're just the standard little pegs there. So, but you can see how they kind of have like a little dot there so that it kind of makes sense for them to click like one click. So they'll kind of naturally stop here. Like if you move them, it's kind of nice. But again, whatever you want to do with them is fine. Articulation-wise, head can look up pretty decently. Can't really look down all that much, side to side, no problem. Maybe the tiniest little bit of tilt side to side. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder, so it can kind of go out to the side, but it kind of stops about there. Full rotation, no problem. Very simplistic shoulder joint. Also down here at the elbow, it's just a ball joint. There's not really anything super exciting going on, and I do feel like for a deluxe, that's pretty simplistic when it comes to the joints in the arm, just two ball joints. I mean, I guess it gets the job done. Nothing in the wrist or anything. Forearms are a solid piece. But, you know, usually you'd have like a dedicated hinge swivel in the bicep. I mean, like I said, gets the job done, but it just struck me as a little simplistic. You do have a waist swivel, which doesn't really, it hits into the backpack a little bit, but depending on how you angle the legs, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You have a kind of standard ball joint here at the hip as well. Kick pretty far forward, kick back until you hit into the backpack, but still pretty far out to the side, or far back out to the side. Also fairly decent. His legs are where it gets a little weird though. So you do have a thigh swivel there, but you can kind of see, and this is how he transforms. It's just a bunch of like hinges. So like this just keeps like accordioning in on itself, like almost rolling up. So because of that, he's got kind of like backwards knees. He does kind of still have real knees, but if you go any further back than one click, it'll start to hit into the wheel there, like this littlest bit of plastic. So he kind of only has one bend at the knee there, but he also has like a forward bend. It's a little strange. Now these are also joints, but I will say these are very, very tight. So you shouldn't have too much trouble with them doing anything in robot mode. But I do feel like depending on how I pose him, sometimes he does have a tendency to go forward. Because unfortunately, these joints are kind of loose on mine. Especially this one. So, I mean, if I pose him like this, he'll stand there. But sometimes he has a tendency to kind of pitch forward a little bit. So, just something to be wary of. You also have a ball joint down here and like a fake ankle. Really, that's just good for side to side. You can't really get ankle tilt out of that. The ankle tilt actually comes from the gray piece up here. You can see it's swiveling. There's a pin back here, which you can see. And so this piece swivels there. You can, like I said, get side to side, but if you try to tilt this here, that is going to hit into it. You can kind of see. So you can get a little bit, but not a ton. Most of the ankle tilt's actually going to come from that gray piece. But yeah, overall, it's an interesting robot mode. I like it for the most part. Like I said, not too much kibble, which I appreciate. But where this guy really shines is all the accessories. So he comes with a ton of accessories, an entire plastic bag's worth of accessories. So he's got this little black piece here, which I don't really know what purpose this is supposed to serve in the robot mode. It has a very clear purpose in the vehicle mode, and that is to give somewhere to connect these pieces in the vehicle mode. But for now, they just have you pop it here on the side of the forearm, which is fine. I mean, just for storage. He does have these two pieces, which if you remember in the movie, and I believe the toy that was part of the movie line, he's got this cool like wrist Gatling gun. So what happens is there's a peg here on the middle, and that's going to peg into the forearm. So that will peg on there. If I can actually make it so. And then there's another one back here, and then they'll also peg into each other. So you should have no trouble connecting this. As I say that, as I can't connect it. I'm definitely doing this wrong. Let's do the bottom one first. It'll probably be easier. What am I doing wrong? I did this earlier, no problem. What's the issue? Are they different? Don't believe so. Believe they're exactly the same. Peg that in there. Peg this in here. This one does not want to connect for me. There it goes. I guess I just wasn't pushing it in enough. I don't know. In any case, there's the wrist Gatling gun. It's all working now, giving him some definite firepower. But in addition to that, he's got these two crazy guns. This is like some ridiculous revolver. I don't even know how that works. And then kind of like a little laser pistol. Now, of course, he can just hold these in his hand. They'll just peg right in. Can be a little bit snug. Sometimes I find I have a little difficulty getting this in here, but it will eventually go. Yeah, I don't know why this one's very snug. Pop this one in as well. That one's a little easier. But the cool thing is you can see they have these massive tabs out the side. And that is because they can connect to his hips. So you can see there's a little slot right here. It's not actually that. It's back here. So you're going to take this and just jam that in there. And then he's got one on this side, but it's at kind of an angle. So this one kind of hugs the hip. Like, no, I did it wrong. It's this here. It's actually not that. It's the more vertical one. I don't know. I took this out of the box. I tried it out myself the first time. I had no issues. Then I turned the camera on and nothing wants to cooperate. Thanks, Barricade. But yeah, so that's really cool. I really like that. I love when, you know, you can have a character that can like have weapon storage on the body. So he's got two guns on the side there. He's got this piece on the forearm, and then he's got these two wrist Gatling pieces. So that's really cool. I have to give him that. He is definitely decked out with weapons. And it looks good. And even when you attach everything, it doesn't look too busy or obnoxious or anything like that. He doesn't have any giant pieces hanging off the back or anything like that. So, yeah, really, really cool with all the weapons attached. All right, so getting into the transformation, I've removed all of the weapons. I will say I had a decent amount of trouble, mostly with the legs, but a little bit with the arms as well with the transformation for this guy. I'll do the easy step first. We'll just pop those light bars back down. But it's a very interesting transformation. It's not super difficult, but it's very snug, getting everything to move past everything and get where it needs to go. Very nice vehicle mode when you're done, but it's a bit of a journey. So we're going to start out by rotating him at the waist 180 degrees. You might have to be careful about hitting into the backpack, but you should be able to clear it. So get him to about here. Then we are going to rotate these like this. So 90 degrees like that. And then as I mentioned earlier, you have all these joints where basically this thing is going to like form a square with all the right angles. So what we need to do is kind of bring this down. And this is the part I feel like I had the most difficulty with. So you have to, because you kind of have to get the legs out of the way. I kind of find it easier to kind of move one down just because that gives you a little bit more room. So you have to bend at this joint, which on mine is very tight. This pin is very loose. This joint is very tight. Go figure. I'd like it to be the other way. Then you have to kind of spin this around and rotate this. So we're going to bend this again. You can see that there's another joint right here. So this is going to bend in, and then this has to rock up so that this piece gets in here. And it's kind of weird to finagle. I think maybe I do it like this, and then I bend this. No, that can't be right. It's got to go like this. Yeah, there we go. Get that in there. So it can take a little trial and error, but you can see that it's bent once here. It's bent there again, so it kind of makes a box or a U. And then you have to get this piece back here so that that can fit in there. So, like I said, it can be kind of a pain. And I'm sure it's another one of those things where the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. But it can be very annoying at first. Rotate this so that when I bring this in and then up, there we go. See, that one was even a little bit easier. So once you have that done, then you can just sandwich them together. And that should be good. There we go. So there is the back of the vehicle mode. And it looks great when you're done. Like, it's very compact and tidy and links together nicely. It can just be a little difficult getting there. So at this point, we're going to kind of stretch this out as far as we can. If you had it, you can see how there's kind of a hinge in there. So if you had this kind of compressed to the body a little bit, make sure it's straightened all the way out. And then you're going to flip down the side doors. At this point, there's a tiny little piece right here behind his head that you're going to want to flip out. And then this part in the directions, I didn't know what it was trying to tell me, but these little pieces here around the Decepticon symbol, they ever so slightly click up. That's it. It was because they're like this, the directions were like, you have to click this like this. And I could not understand what the directions were telling me until I realized that's it. Just that little bit there. So then you're going to lift this all the way up. This piece here is the kind of front grille. It's going to cover up the Decepticon symbol. So you have to rotate that all the way around. It is ridiculously snug. And you get to about this point and it does not feel like it wants to keep going, but I promise it does. So just keep going and that will rotate all the way up. You can see that this tab was kind of lightly tabbed into this bar here to keep it against his chest. Or actually maybe it's the bottom one, but it's one of those two. That's how it connects in there. So once you have that up, you can bring this part down to fill in the hood. And then this is another interesting part. So the arms, these gray pieces will slide in. And then you have to tuck these up. And you have to get these forearms like in this area. So you kind of have to like get it past the door and in this area. But again, it's not the best for clearance. You can get it. You just have to keep pushing it in there. So you push this up. So this is what I'm talking about. So this goes in. You can see the gray part is going in towards the head, while at the same time, the arms got to go back in there. So there you go. That's what it'll look like when it's done. Again, it works. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just with the clearance and everything, it can be kind of troublesome. But once you get it in there and you get it where it's going, it's great. But nothing wants to cooperate. There we go. So once you have that in, and they'll kind of lightly peg to the under part of the hood. So once you get that all in, I mean, you can see, again, very nice and snug, very tidy, holds together well. The arms back here slot in very nicely, don't really cause a problem, just can be a little annoying. At this point, you're going to drop this back, and you can see there's kind of these two little tabs that'll go in these little indentations. And then there are little tabs on the front of the door, which have to go underneath here. And then bring this up. Make sure that all goes in the right spot. And then, again, make sure these tabs are in. All of that lines up. And then there you go. That is the police car you're left with, which looks great. I mean, underneath here, like I said, this is all so nice and tidy. You don't really have much of the robot mode here, or because it's so plain, it doesn't really necessarily look like the robot mode. You do have the head poking out, but it's a really nice, compact little vehicle. I like it quite a bit. So again, the cop car that you're left with here is really nice. I mean, it's thin. It's very stylized. It rolls well. All the wheels are actually pinned on, which is a nice touch. Nice and compact underneath. I really like it a lot. Just a little finicky getting it there. Again, nothing wrong with the transformation. Just definitely a little finicky. Definitely takes some getting used to. But yeah, this guy looks good. The other fun thing is that all of the weapons can be stored here in vehicle mode. So you can see a slot right here. That's where we're going to peg this in. So this kind of pops on here. Come on. And kind of forms the little like connection spot. And then you take these two pieces. So since you have the tab sticking out on this side, you can connect that to the slot on this. So this will connect on here. And then you have a slot on that side, which will connect to the tab on this one. And that will allow you to connect both of these onto the back. And then you can see these slots on the side here. That is where we are going to slot in these guns. So all of the accessories are attachable in the vehicle mode. Again, looks a little ridiculous, but he is completely decked out with firepower for the battlefield. No issue there. And I think that's cool. I always appreciate when you can attach and there's storage for all of the accessories. So yeah, he's a really cool little cop car. I like how sleek and stylized he is. Colors are great. You have the nice dark blue with the black, the white, all that really pops. The light bars, you know, are translucent, but they're not really catching the light that much, so they kind of just come off as dark and indistinguishable. But I also really like the front here. I think that works really well. You almost have a little bit of a cow catcher there, which is nice. So yeah, I really, really like the vehicle mode quite a bit. So Barricade's a bit of a weird one, but ultimately I do like them. There's definitely a lot of good here. Robot mode is cool. I like the head sculpt. I love the color scheme. I love the little Decepticon symbol there in the chest. I love the accessories. I think that it's so cool that you can attach them all at the same time. He has the guns on the hips, the Gatling gun on the wrist. All that's really, really neat. A couple of things about the robot mode I don't really like. I don't like the front knees. I wish there was a way to kind of lock that in place for the robot mode, and unfortunately on mine, they're kind of loose, which is a bit of a bummer, while like these joints are super tight, which for robot mode is good because you don't want them to be too loose because otherwise he'd lose his stability and fall over. But at the same time, it can be a little challenging when transforming him into vehicle mode. I really like the vehicle mode as well. You know, the cop car is very sleek, very stylized. I love that you can connect all the accessories to the vehicle mode as well. It's just the transformation for me. And it's not the worst. It's definitely not the worst I've ever seen. It's a little finicky. It definitely takes some getting used to. Once you do it a few times, I think certain things will get a little bit looser and easier to swap back and forth. And it's just some of the clearance issues. That's one thing I feel like I run into a lot with Studio Series, especially Bayverse Studio Series. There's always a lot of like weird clearance issues when it comes to moving pieces around, and just not that fun for me. But it's not to say that it's a bad figure. It's definitely not. It just takes a little bit of getting used to that transformation and moving some of the pieces around and things like that. But The robot mode's great. The vehicle mode's great. It's just getting from one to the other that's not the most fun. But it's still a cool figure. I definitely think it's worth checking out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.